Hello, hello. We have so much content to go through. We're super excited about this. So let's just dive right in. We're not going to talk a lot about us, guys. This is really about the updates. Um, if you want to know about us very quickly, here's some clients that we manage. We were the first online retail marketing agency ever. We've been doing this for 24 years. We're top 5 advertising managers in the performance side of Google Ads. And in the last 12 years, we've been on the Inc. 5000 10 times. Very excited about our growth. Most excited is our founder, who still runs the day-to-day, but launched this business when he was 15 years old back in 97, Scott Smigler. I'm one of your presenters today. My name is Nick Rajpal. I'm the VP of Marketing Sciences Exclusive. I just crossed my 13th year here. I help develop all of our solutions from SEO to Google Ads, Google Shopping, Amazon, conversion testing, and email. Till about 7 years in, I switched to working with potential clients just to basically figure out a marketing plan for you, and then we can do a good job with it. I'm also the host of our webinar series and a speaker at conferences. So I'm joined by my colleagues at Google and at Exclusive. Logan, if you can introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone. My name is Logan Durant. I'm the VP of Client Strategy here at Exclusive. I've been at the company for 9 years now. I got my start as a paid search specialist. Nick and I launched our Google Shopping services together and Amazon services. And now I create strategy for our prospective clients and ensure that strategy is carried out for when they become clients. And Shanice.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Shanice Wickfall. I'm an agency development manager here at Google. Been working with agencies and at agencies for over 10 years. I'm Exclusive's agency partner on all things Google Ads related. And I have a background in digital marketing, a lot for direct-to-consumer clients in the gaming, athletic, and apparel industry, but also have kind of touched really every vertical that there is. So very excited to be presenting today.
The mute. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So the way we have divvied up this presentation, we're really going to focus mostly on the privacy updates and how the privacy updates have led to basically Google's adoption of automation as a way to stay within the reforms, the privacy reforms, while still giving us a lot of control. And with the automation side, as we talk about which ad types are definitely going to get stronger over time, and then which ones potentially are just at the crosshairs of all these privacy changes, then we're going to give you guys some good recommendations at the end to kind of tie it all together. So it is 3 updates, but it's actually one big master update. So we'll first talk a little bit about the privacy side. So many of you have started to hear more of this now, but the truth is things have been changing for a little bit of time. And we wanted to gauge where we should spend a little bit more time with you guys. So if you don't mind, we're going to launch a quick poll and just let us know which parts of which kind of updates are you least clear about. This is really helpful. The vast majority of you have already voted, so we can shut this down. We'll shut it down in 3, 2, 1. Thank you. So let's look at this together. So most of you seem to be relatively clear on GDPR and CCPA, which makes sense. That's 2016 and 2018, which is great. And then there's current operating system changes that are happening and advertising platform, and that's where there's the least clarity. Really helpful that the advertising platform part is the least clear because that's what we're going to cover the most. So in anticipation of where that knowledge was, I think we got it right, and this is good. So good expectation for the webinar. won't go over too much of GDPR, but for the 35% of you who said, still a little unclear, GDPR was the European mandate that happened basically so that websites and owners of customer data could standardize the communication process with their customers about the fact that data is being collected and permission to be able to collect that data, whether it's people visiting the website, there were certain rules, or in the database, there were other rules and practices you had to follow. And this kind of started the whole privacy change. But it's definitely hard to adapt. 6 months after GDPR came out, they're still trying to figure out how to comply properly. It was a lot of burden on webmasters and businesses themselves, to be honest. 2 years later, California decided America should also have a lot of protections. By then, several other countries around the world, from Brazil to South Korea, had already started to implement a GDPR form. So California was the first state in America to decide we need to do this as well. Privacy is important. So the way that they did it was a little different. They basically said, why don't we create this uniform approach, which is a series of rights that we help manage on behalf of Californians. So everyone has to kind of adhere to the organizational structure of data and certain compliance in their privacy policy so that everyone's doing the same thing. And this becomes kind of a new way to control kind of a globalized reform anytime there's new changes that need to happen. So the CCPA adoption was much more standardized. Everyone just had to do certain things to now be in compliance and in fair competition with everyone else. But over the past year, internet usage has gone up dramatically, right, because of COVID. And there's more knowledge and more interest in talking about these concepts like privacy. Public sentiment has definitely been in favor of some kind of reform or protection as consumers and users of the internet. And a lot of that kind of came to a tipping point in March when the leaders of the largest platforms came and spoke to Congress, and we start to understand, at least laymen started to talk a little bit more about this understanding that we are the product, right? That if we're using a platform, the platform is selling us in a way to advertisers, which is a bad way of looking at it, but it definitely created a shift in sentiment. And now we have to do more to try to catch up. To try to put this all into a nice framework, you think about it, user privacy is at the center of all this. But user privacy, a user goes through so many different parts of the internet. They go to websites, they are captured in email providers, they use browsers, they use operating systems, they're on platforms that are advertising on behalf of businesses like Google has ads, or Facebook, which is a platform in itself that people are on behalf of websites. So all these areas had to eventually start to reform as well. Most of them kind of ahead of the curve, trying to anticipate that this is just where the market's going. We have to go with it. To kind of understand the difference between first-party data and third-party data, for those of you who are hearing these phrases all the time, but maybe not always exactly clear, first-party data is explicitly provided data, meaning when someone goes in and changes their password, they did that. When they log into an account, they did that. When they change the language preference, they did that. And they were okay with you knowing this information. Third party is virtually everything outside of that. That is, it's usually aggregated, it's sometimes inferred. We saw this behavior, so we believe this. Someone looked at this product, so they're actually a past customer that has not abandoned car, not finished their purchase. Even things like interests, hobbies, and browsing activities. These are all third-party data areas. And this is where the majority of the current reform is going into. And the platforms are thinking, how can we respond in a way that still gives control to advertisers and power to businesses while giving some power back to users as well. So before we try to ease your concerns, just want to get a sense from everyone here, how concerned are you about the impact of these upcoming data privacy changes on your business? Okay, wonderful. Again, the vast majority of you guys have already voted, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out in 3, 2, 1. The 14% of you that are not at all concerned, hopefully we don't change that too much for you. It's good to feel pretty calm about it. But those of you who are somewhat, I think that's probably the right place to be. No one should be very concerned. There's proactive measures that we're going to talk about that get you ahead of the curve. So you don't really need to be concerned about the impact on your business, but you do need to be concerned about prioritizing your activities to stay ahead of this. Shanice, can you talk a little bit about how Google has been adapting for these platform and Google ad changes?
Yeah, so I think, thanks, Nick, for that. It's very important to just know that as people have become increasingly uncomfortable with pervasive data tracking across the web, many browsers have already taken a really blunt approach of blocking third-party cookies by default to limit the cross-site tracking, pretty much used for ads and personalization and measurement. So a lot of the browsers that users are on are already, ahead of the curve of just barring that for advertisers. Safari has done it, Firefox, Brave, OneSearch, as well as Microsoft Edge browsers all block third-party cookies just by default. So you, as the user, have to opt into it, have to flip it on if that is something and an experience that you want on their browsers. Restriction of identifiers is not only across cookies, but also across app identifiers. So where we've been hearing in the news, the iOS 14 update, this is where Apple has now announced the importance of them changing some of their privacy settings to their mobile OS users through the iOS 14 update. And this is the introduction of app tracking transparency, which we call ATT. And ATT will require developers to ask for users permission when they are using certain information like identifiers that we can advertise and track and target on from other companies and apps and websites for advertising purposes. We can go to the next slide. So that's Apple's approach. From Chrome's approach, in January 2020, Chrome announced that there was an intention to kind of phase out third-party tracking in 2022. And so that's the other change that we're experiencing now. With the caveat that only once this happened, there would be a privacy sandbox of sorts that we would be able to kind of plug into, and publishers and advertisers would be able to still utilize some targeting options. And the privacy sandbox is set up to kind of mitigate a lot of the panic that people were starting to kind of bring up on how will we, be able to provide a personalized advertising experience for consumers. So for proposals in that privacy sandbox, it was used to, one, continue to find relevant users, but also aim to protect those users' identity and their information. So there was some information that was getting out that users were like, hey, we literally don't want that to be used in targeting us for advertising purposes. And so we hear it, the industry hears it and gets it, and those are the changes that are being made. So Chrome is working on a web standard community and what you'll hear called W3C to continue to develop these kind of proposals, and browsers will be able to follow these web standards to really process how to share and develop ideas openly and allow for that industry feedback. And Google believes that Chrome's approach benefits all players in that ads ecosystem and is able to kind of reduce the paywalls, help publishers of all sizes be able to access the users that they need to access, while also giving marketers a privacy-focused alternative to non-transparent tracking methods. So specifically, Google's approach, and this is overall, this is not just an ads-focused approach. We believe that privacy and performance are not at odds with each other and can actually coexist. So these ecosystem changes are an opportunity for us to really build sustainably and really up-level what the ecosystem can offer for everyone. And that starts with a user-focused approach. Really sustaining users' trust and to a core ad-supported web environment, and we want to meet that need and then exceed the standards for our users for data privacy and their standards for an all experienced online ecosystem. It also means that we're going to really need to invest in preserving technologies that will establish a foundation for that long-term sustainability of ad-supported ecosystems. So with that, we want to build that foundation that will be sustainable for years to come and invest in first-party data with that automation as well as machine learning and lean into the aggregation and anonymization of on-device processing and really look at this privacy sandbox and the technologies that we can use within that to protect those users' identity and then really give them and deliver the information that marketers and publishers need to deliver. With that, rounding it out, the standards and solutions that we need to work for everyone will make us partner with the industry to ensure that that happens. So what you'll start seeing is that Google will roll out responsible addressable media, work with IAB, Tech Lab, as well as REARC to really ensure that around the world we're developing those standards and those solutions that work for everyone. So I'm gonna go through kind of each tenet. User first. For that, we really want to keep the user's personal information private and safe and secure. So at Google, we respect and protect user privacy and keep users' personal information safe with industry-leading security infrastructure, as well as a responsible data practice and easy-to-use privacy tools that users can control. So, you know, when you kind of look at ad preferences or your preference settings in your Google account, you have the control to determine how we can access your data, what data you want to share with us, and how we can use it. We can move to the next slide. When we look at investing in privacy, while there's no silver bullet that we're really leaning into with the privacy preserving strategies, we're looking at signals and technologies that will persist in privacy optimized environments that can really meet performance standards of today and then really continue to evolve for publishers and marketers. So with that, it's going to become very important that we invest in first-party data because at this point, that's all we will really have concretely to stand on. Everything else will kind of be through automation and technology that we kind of get that information and gather that information through the privacy sandbox. So first-party data is so important now more than ever. And with third-party cookies on the way out, it really is going to be important to reinforce a stronger partnership with your users, not only conceptually for user trust, but technically from a digital marketing standpoint. Businesses will benefit greatly from forging and strengthening relationships directly with their consumers, and using first-party data can help those marketers and publishers better understand that customers' needs and how to deliver from that customer experience. So when we see that businesses that invest in first-party data see considerable performance gains. They are able to provide personalized advertising. They're able to tailor their message to their user, and they're able to find some efficiencies in where they were spending, kind of casting a wide net, and really know where and when their users are online. So with less user data available, modeling and machine learning is going to be so important to help maximize your own data and do more with less by augmenting what user data is available and capitalizing on other signals and data points. So with machine learning, you can assemble and sort voluminous data sets that filter honestly trillions of data points every second and produce inferences on what the user's next most likely transaction is. So this is kind of the modeling that you're doing, and a lot of those signals that we'll be able to pick up on through the privacy sandbox. And with that, we're able to do this all without really having any personal identifiable data in hand. So for example, it can see that a computer user is in Washington, D.C., lives in Washington, D.C., but notes that the weather forecast will be humid and stormy, and then serve an ad for allergy medicines, knowing kind of what that behavior looks like. Modeling will enable Google to quantify the impact of that marketing investment, where it observes conversions that are not possible, creates an aggregate view of the customer's behavior, and then as a deterministic conversions become less available, modeling will be able to become more critical to attain a representative view of how marketers' investment is performing. And additionally, it will provide a more robust foundation on not just the measurement, but from a campaign optimization standpoint. So I know I keep saying privacy sandbox. I do want to dig in a little bit on what that is. And so we believe that the future lies in this privacy preserving solution that enhances trust with users and really provides a foundation for the digital ads industry. Any technology that is prioritizing replacing cross-web tracking functionality of cookies instead of optimizing for that privacy won't be sustainable. So because of that, it won't be able to satisfy the need to provide users with that protection and that choice and that control. So through the Privacy Sandbox initiative, Chrome is aiming to proactively reconstruct what that ecosystem looks like and from the ground up, and really provide a privacy forward way of working moving forward. And so this is where Google is investing in privacy, and this is where really, if you don't hear anything else about privacy, here's your action items, here's your homework, this is how you prepare. With your teams and with your agency, potentially exclusive, we want you to ensure that there's no snags in your advertising as these things begin to roll out and take form. So first, making sure that you're collecting your first-party data through either the global site tag, sometimes it's known as the One Google tag, or if you have Google Tag Manager, using that, but just ensuring that that is placed on your website. Second, we want you to take a good look at what your measurement framework looks like. Do you have Google Analytics? GA4 is what we're pressing upon people to really move into. Are you appropriately set up for enhanced conversion so that you can make sure that that conversion modeling is happening and that you're not losing out on any data, any valuable data? And then we want to make sure that you're allowing it to tap into that first party data that you worked so diligently to collect. And then lastly, you want to make sure that we're activating on all of this. So you've collected everything, you've aligned on what your measurement looks like. So now we need to make sure we're activating on it in the appropriate ways, and that's going to be through customer match. You will see it in Google Ads as like customer email lists, online and offline, getting the people who, if you have a brick and mortar and people are signing up through your email list that way, importing that in as well as capturing the users that you're getting from a digital space. And with this, employing automation throughout your advertising. So smart bidding, automated targeting with Google audiences, as well as eventually evolving into a fully automated campaign that is really utilizing those inputs from the privacy sandbox to inform interest-based and remarketing capabilities.
Awesome. So I think this ends up becoming a good segue for us. I mean, there's a lot that people have to do to prepare. We're going to talk in more detail about things you want to get through, but so much of this transition is Google's transition towards using automation to kind of get ahead of the curve. It's just, I'm kind of, from our perspective, we're kind of grateful that Google is doing this in advance, and there wasn't, how do we adapt suddenly to all this sentiment? The ad formats that have been released over the past few years already started to anticipate how automation could kind of adapt to even the most aggressive regressive reform, and really that seems to be the path that Google is trying to go all in on as much reform as possible, so that it's not so incremental. So not only are these automations powerful, I think what we wanted Shanice to cover was why, or what kind of things are being done to enhance the automations that already exist and make them even more powerful. If you can get into that a little bit, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about all of the data privacy things, and then I mentioned that it's time to activate on it once you've gotten everything stood up. So it's going to be really important to note that if you don't have that foundation, if you don't have that groundwork, the Google site tag, if you don't have a appropriate measurement framework, a lot of what I talk about from the automation front is not going to be able to be activated upon. So that those two first steps are very important. So as we're looking at the way a user is able to be targeted, or the way we're harvesting that information is changing, so is the way we're going to be able to bid in the auction on those users. So we will need to really lean into utilizing all of these unique signals that we're getting at auction time to really ensure that we're running your ads and advertisers' ads in front of the users that they either want to acquire through target CPA, or making sure that we are maximizing the conversions that they want to maximize. Also looking at it from, are we looking at the correct signals? Are we looking at it from a location standpoint? Are we looking at it from an audience standpoint? Are we looking at it and pulling in our app data as well to inform all of these decisions? So with that, it's going to be important. Auction time bidding, leaning into smart bidding, target CPA enhancements will really allow you to have like the most impactful performance on your campaigns. If you're looking at, hey, exclusive, hey, Google Shanice, we just really want to target users at a particular cost to get those new users in, target CPA is going to be really important. Or if we're like, hey, we just really need to get as many users as possible, as many conversions as possible, then we can look toward maximizing conversions and finding those signals and those audiences that will help us maximize those conversions the most. And then if you're not there yet and you don't have some of the collect and measurement frameworks set up just yet, you can still utilize some sort of like smart bidding. We call it like smart bidding light on enhanced CPC, and have full control over those CPCs to in those bids to really increase that flexibility and improve that efficiency. So if anything, target CPA and maximize conversion are like full throttle ahead. Enhanced CPC is like, all right, we're getting into it. And here's the 4 bidding strategies that Google will, moving forward, talk about the most and build their roadmaps off of. So I mentioned enhanced CPC being smart bidding light. Less and less will we talk about that, and less will new opportunities be available on enhanced CPC. So I want to be very, very clear on that change in the evolution and the roadmap that Google Ads is taking. So target CPA and max conversions, I think are really great options. But if you are an e-commerce company and you have profit goals, you have business objectives to increase profit margin by X percentage, max conversion value and target ROAS are going to be really important. Why optimize toward just acquiring the customer when you can actually put a value to that customer and optimize towards that?
All right, that was really informative, Shanice. And next section here is ad types. And I think you set the stage really well for this, because Google is investing so much in advancing its machine learning, in complying with new privacy laws, that we need to understand which ad types are going to be most effective going into the future as these changes take hold and evolve. So there's really, I think, two swim lanes here. There's probably like the ad units that are going to get left behind and they're not going to be invested in as much from a Google standpoint. Those are ones that are typically single signal ads, might rely on behavior taken from other sites, like, you know, those dynamic remarketing ads that show you products that you viewed on sites. Those might be going away. Old style shopping campaigns that, you know, rely a lot on search term data and keyword data, they might fall out of favor for more like smart shopping types of campaigns. And then maybe old types of display campaigns that didn't rely on machine learning, there's not going to be much more investment put into those by Google. So you're going to have to evolve and switch over to smart display. So that's really the main message here, is that Google wants ad formats that are going to comply with the new privacy laws. And they want ad formats that are going to take advantage of as many signals as possible that they can get from visitors, from, you know, potential consumers. We're talking about e-commerce here. So there will be these ad types that Google continues to invest in, like smart shopping, smart display, any type of cross-network ad campaign type. And these are the ones that Google will be releasing betas on, giving us more levers to pull, more information, more insights. And Shanice, I believe you have some examples here of different ad types and different machine learning solutions that you can talk about here that we can start to think about adopting.
Yeah, and so you said it perfectly, Logan. When we're adapting to this like changing ecosystem, your digital strategy is going to need to adapt as well in what you're investing in. So starting off with audience selection, targeting expansion, looking at automation, enabling targeting expansion, and the Google audiences that you're employing. So typically, when we're having conversations with clients, they're like, hey, this is our target audience. We know our target audience. Bid on those audiences. So what we're doing is not allowing ourselves to be open to adjacent audiences, getting in new users, getting someone who, if you're selling socks, someone who's been looking at dresses, there might be a cross sell there that you can kind of align with. Or if you're a sports team, but someone's been looking at cars all day, there still might be there still might be an interest there. So opening up and being open to broadening your targeting options and your horizons there to find alignment. Bidding, and the adoption of smart bidding strategies is a great way to ensure that you're leveraging the power of automation to really adopt and adapt to the evolving landscape. So conversion and value-based smart bidding strategies like target CPA, maximize conversions, target ROAS, and max conversion value will all rely on conversion data sets to set those bids. And when conversions cannot be observed and modeled, conversions are available in reporting, these bid strategies are able to use both what's been observed as well as what's been modeled to really optimize against that. And then those model conversions are used in the same way as those observable conversions by the algorithm to really inform predictions. And then with fully automated campaigns, like smart display campaigns, smart shopping campaigns, you're able to really be in a well-positioned spot for the upcoming cookieless ecosystem. So these campaigns, the ones that are fully automated, that are really reliant on machine learning and those predictions, will reach new and existing customers while delivering the advertisers' performance that they desire. So those full auto targeting is really dynamic, it's predictive, and it's really more flexible than manual targeting, as it utilizes just a combination of all of the best signals that we have available. And so this is going to be a really huge and major benefit when third-party cookies are no longer available. It's going to allow users to really reach their most relevant. It's going to allow advertisers to reach their most relevant users while achieving those performance goals. And so here's one ad type that we really recommend leaning into, and these are discovery ads. Discovery ads can reach up to 3 billion people, and if you're on the Google Ads app, the Google app, you'll see it. It's kind of that news feed. It serves everything from YouTube to display. You're able to catch up on the interest. You're able to watch video content. You're able to read through your emails. Anything that you're doing on a Google Ads app is a discovery ad. And big thing here that we come up against a lot is like, oh, assets. It's a new ad format. We need new assets. You do not. If you are on Facebook, you have one by one. Those are the advertising assets that you need to use for discovery ads. So just like you use and build out your social assets, you can just transfer those over to discovery ads and have a whole new network. So smart shopping campaigns, this is another one that's fully automated. It touches every part of the Google Ads platform that we have. So search, display, YouTube, Gmail, as well, serving your shopping ads. So if you have a shopping feed and you want to employ smart shopping campaigns, I highly recommend it. We're going to talk about how it works in the next slide. So smart shopping campaigns are able to automatically combine different signals from Google and advertisers to really maximize the results that advertisers are able to receive. So we're looking at everything from queries, the time that they usually search online, what the seasonality is, or are they searching something that is out of season or in season? Should we bid a little bit more aggressively? Where are they searching it? Are they searching it on mobile? Are they searching it on tablets? That kind of gives us their propensity of, are they about to purchase or not? Where is their location? Are they in Hawaii searching for parkas? Maybe not the right people to bid aggressively on right now. And what placements are going to be really valuable for them? And coupling that with retailer insights that we have, your audience list, looking at and knowing who are loyal customers of your brand, looking at what sales and what sales goals you have, looking at the basket size to know, do we need to bid as aggressively if someone's just looking at something that is under the maybe free shipping thresholds, and then looking at the product categories. What product categories are really, really important to us right now, and what creative can we serve them? And with that, coupling it with max conversion value, or TROAS, to determine what the revenue we want from that is.
Yeah, we've been adopting smart shopping for, well, since it was in alpha, right? And at first, I think we had some apprehension. We didn't even know exactly how to properly control it. There was concern that, smart shopping can try to hit a target by targeting the website's name, that you have to actually set up what max click bids can be, and there was no data coming out of it. You couldn't always control search impression share. For a long time, there was no movement from our side. We kept trying new approaches, applying Pareto principles, applying information that we understood from our users, and eventually we started to create new ways for our clients to use smart shopping. We're really happy to see that now year over year, we were able to increase the spend through Google, through smart shopping, 7x for our clients, and not at the cost of efficiency, but also increasing efficiency by another 29% while increasing spend. So it's nice to be in alignment. And Google was always taking our feedback, and the team really didn't rest until all of our research finally panned out on a handful of strategies of all the ones that we tested that were predictable. We could reuse them for other clients and scale them. So it's pretty exciting now that we know how to do it, and this is just the future. So it's nice to be at that point.
Exclusive has done a great job at keeping us honest on smart shopping. We really appreciate it. So we're going to move into some options on from the YouTube front as well. YouTube should absolutely be a part of your full digital landscape and your advertising plan, so that you're moving people throughout that funnel, but also being able to connect with them in more ways than one, not just in search, not just on the search engine results page, but also on YouTube, which is the second largest search engine in the world. So with that, TrueView for Action campaigns are really, really great to drive viewers to your website. Typically, we get a little scared about disrupting that kind of behavior pattern, but TrueView for Action campaigns are great at bringing up a call to action, getting the user over to your website, and then starting them down the funnel to purchase. TrueView for in-stream is what I think we all see, the skippable ads. There's also non-skippable. Some people get really mad when they're served the ads that they are unable to skip, but it is really valuable in capturing the attention. If you have a adjacent user or audience that you're really like, hey, I need them to come on over, serve them a non-skippable ad. If you want to just work on some ad recall, TrueView in-stream are the skippable ads that you can also serve. And then TrueView for reach. This is one that I think Exclusive has done an amazing job at helping scale with their clients, helping their clients in ad recall. These are like bumper ads. They're really, really short at times. They are, if you have a TV budget, even if it's a local TV budget, and you're considering that, consider TrueView for reach. You're going to get it at a much, much cheaper cost per impression, as well as you're going to get some data behind it that traditional TV is not able to provide, and you're going to be able to couple that with your digital marketing.
Yeah, well, innovation on the YouTube side has been incredible for our clients. We just wanted to share kind of a snapshot here. We're looking year over year. So this is the first quarter of COVID, Q2 2020. A lot of the TrueView changes were starting to finally bear fruit, and a lot of our testing with small sets of clients had created repeatable, predictable strategies that we then scaled to all of our clients. All in for the YouTube side, year over year, we increased the ad spend for our clients by 168%, a little bit more aggressive on the cost per click. But because of how we were able to finally figure out the ways to stimulate behavior and the quality of these new ad formats, this increase in ad spend of 168% done correctly ended up for our clients yielding almost 1,100% more revenue from YouTube ads. So the future of YouTube is pretty profitable. I know that the Google team doesn't like to say too often that YouTube can help with revenue, but because our rubric is fine-tuned towards that type of performance, we're really confident with it. We know there are many ways to lose money on YouTube, but when done correctly with the intention of performance, it's fantastic. So really quick, if you guys, thanks for being so engaged, folks. There's an interesting monitor that we see that shows how engaged everyone is, and everyone's really engaged. We really appreciate it. You guys can go to the questions box real quick, and people were somewhat concerned, right? Some of you were, 28% of you were very much concerned. You guys feel a little bit better so far. I mean, we're going to get into some final ways in which you can improve and prepare. But so far, if you can just go to the questions box, give us some like thumbs up, some yeses. Let us know if you're feeling a little better about all this and whether you feel a little bit more confident and comfortable with the information. Put that out there for people to respond, and your thoughtful note there is definitely very much appreciated. So while you guys are thinking that through, all right, awesome. Yes, it has helped. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Let's just go through some important recap notes. Split this up between all three of us. So Logan, you're up first.
All right. Yeah. Thanks everyone. I think, here are some very specific things you can start to do to prepare for these changes. So number one is tapping into what we think, this is a little bit of a prediction, we think there's going to be opportunity to target similar audiences a lot more on Google. So Shanice talked about the importance of first-party data. That's going to be a really key thing, not only to better target your existing customers and potential customers, but to take people that look like your customers and then target them on Google. So if you're an advertiser on Facebook, you probably have already heard about similar audiences and how impactful they are. It's a prediction of ours that they're going to be really impactful on Google as well. So your action item here is to collect and segment your first-party data. Take a look at, first purchasers, loyal customers, people who haven't purchased yet. So lots of other segments you can start to create in advance of uploading this data to Google. The second is contextual targeting. And this is kind of like a throwback to the old days of display, where you would target like a keyword on a web page instead of the people who have displayed a behavior. So our idea is if that certain behaviors are taken away in targeting, which we don't know if they will be yet, you may have to rely on certain things like contextual targeting, your display campaigns, to start to add more levers for you to pull. So one action here is to map your audiences and display campaigns to potential keywords. The final thing here is creative, and this is a huge one. So a lot of good creative assets can help Google's machine learning, Facebook's machine learning, choose which one is the best one to show. So the idea is that we might get less data on people who come to our website, and we want to use creative assets that might be a little more broad, have a little bit more broad appeal. But we also might want to create a lot of different types of assets so that machine learning can figure out which ones work best with those signals that they have. So the action item here is, number one, define your creative strategy, start to really ramp up your creative so you can continue to thrive in a post third-party cookie world.
Yeah, and to that point, you wonder if we give too much creative to Google, are we contradicting ourselves in any way? Are we actually choosing a strategy? So one of the things that we recommend is to try to define what your global strategy is for your users. In the science of consumer behavior, people only act in one of four ways typically when they are making a purchase. And these are also referred to as temperaments. We kind of fall in line with a particular temperament when making a different type of purchase. And you can have different temperaments for different types of purchases. There's competitive when a brand is trying to appeal to someone's desire to become something. Social when a brand is trying to appeal to the need for information and help to make a purchase. There's methodical when someone's just looking for a lot of data to make the right decision, not necessarily in a social manner, but more information. And spontaneous when someone is just looking to save some money and buy something frivolous, like there's something fun about it. When brands choose a lane, instead of having all the ideas in the world, they can kind of start to pull back to just maybe 25% of those ideas, one persona's worth, and then have that on their website, in their email approach, and everything starts to come together. Examples of that, if you start looking at some of the most successful brands in the world, Tag Heuer does a great job of everything that they do is competitive persona, or H&M, everything they do is the spontaneous persona. Apple, everything they do is based on the social / humanistic / sanguine persona. And everything that Galaxy does is focused on the competitive persona. Consumer behavior rarely makes its way into digital marketing. We've seen this as a huge vacuum, something that we can exploit on behalf of our clients, and it allows us to get more efficient with ideas, but also achieve performance, higher performance, much faster by just having a rubric to follow of when something has worked. What does that mean for your next steps? Oh, something worked. That's a spontaneous test that won. We should go more spontaneous.
Yeah, it's such a great point, Nick, with the personas, and they can also inform our funnel investment strategy as well. So at Exclusive, we think about the e-commerce funnel in 4 areas. One is the discovery and awareness piece, the highest part. The next is engagement and interest. The next is conversion, and the final is retention. So once you've identified the persona of your customers, you can start to dictate where you invest your money in the funnel. So we have 4 kind of like traditional shapes of this investment. The first one there is an hourglass shape, which is a lot of investment towards the top, a little bit in the middle, and then much more in the convert and retain piece. So here's an example. If you're a high fashion retailer, you're targeting a competitive persona, people who want to know that when they buy something that, a piece of expensive clothing, they want to understand that they become someone, they become something new, and that they, can show off the name brand. So it's a very visual type of persona. They're going to react really well to display ads, YouTube ads that are going to show off the brand and show you the person you become when you buy that product. They're not going to convert on subjective, non-branded terms. They want to see something to fall in love with it. But they're probably going to have a high lifetime value. You're going to want to invest really heavily in the bottom of that funnel and getting them to convert and then getting them to convert again. That's just one example of how we might disperse funds. And then on the far right hand side, we have a completely opposite one. You're a reseller. You're looking for someone who has an immediate need. You're looking to fill that need. That person may not have a lot of lifetime value with you. So you're looking to really invest a lot in that convert part. So that's like non-branded search, Google Shopping, getting them to see you on the search results page and make a purchase. So you're not going to be having this grand YouTube strategy. It's really cool that the persona can really direct the investment here. And this is how we lay a lot of our plans for media investment.
Okay, guys, we have 4 minutes left. We've covered so much information. People already are in information overload. So as we take these last few slides before we get to the recap, the final offer, let's try to take like 15 seconds each. I'm going to go first. Just important that when you are building your creative assets, when you're building your story, every asset that you put out there should teach something that people should recall about your brand, facts about your brand, your X factors. That's building cognition. They should build a way that they should feel about your brand, that is building affect. And they should be very clear about what behavior you expect from them, whether it's set up an account, buying bulk, things like that. If you have not met this threshold, your ad copy is not performing as, or your ad creative is not as high performance as it should be. Shanice.
Yes, and so takeaway, prepare for the privacy optimized future. So really take heed of putting those users first, making sure that things are in consent mode and that you're getting their permission. Comply with all of the data regulations that are coming out so that you can continue to advertise, and then really leverage first party data and lean into it. And then with that, really look at how you're collecting it, how you're measuring against it, how you're activating on it, and then activate on it through discovery campaigns. We really recommend those.
Cool. So you need to, in order to correctly set KPIs and to show people the right product at the right time, you need to understand how they're behaving. So this taps into the first party data aspect again. You need to understand the lifetime value of a customer in order to set acquisition targets. And then you need to know what they buy and when, so you can show them the right product at the right time. These are ways that you can tap into first party to become much more prepared for this update. And so here's two quick takeaways here. People might be entering your site and they might not accept first party cookies. So you might have problems with attribution models. You need to look at different attribution models to understand how people are entering your site. So the entrance is sometimes just as important as, you know, what channel they convert from. And if this starts to become really unclear, something like media mix modeling, which we're working on right now, is going to become vitally important. Understanding how much traffic and ad spend from a certain channel impacts revenue overall. So it's super helpful with certain, you know, platforms like YouTube, which are less trackable, and we're very close to unveiling a really cool solution around media mix. So stay tuned.
Awesome. We're wanting to get to this before everyone leaves. Don't leave, don't leave. Okay, we're offering a growth plan. If you are a business that wants to grow more and you would love to have exclusive use all 24 years of experience to come up with a plan for you, this is how we approach it. We believe that all growth plans should cover everything from like search trends to competitors, define the customer journey, plan out how we're going to impact and stimulate behavior, and then have the best framework for insights and reporting. So our process goes through a few different steps. Part one, why would we take $1 million out of our pocket and put it into your business? Whatever we discover is fodder for marketing. We then go in and identify the entire landscape. Who are your competitors? How are search trends changing over the course of the last 5 years? Where are things going exactly? Who is strong, who's not, who's investing? We define, just as Logan covered just now, what is the ideal investment shape that we should go in based on all the information that we've reviewed together. We do a search analysis to identify whether you actually have control and visibility where you're supposed to for your brand against your competitors in the discovery space on SEO, Google Shopping, and search. We define what we need to get across for cognition, affect, and behavior, as well as recommendations and prescriptions on which persona we want to pursue first. We define a nurturing process and a repeat process so we can get more sales through the funnel and then repeat sales from there. We look at all your competitors, what they're investing in Facebook and email, et cetera. There's some fun tools that we've been able to use. We'll show you how we're going to report across all channels, including potentially some media mix modeling, but also get it into structure and pricing. If you want to do this in-house, we have that option too. So before you leave, the question is, do you need a free growth plan? This is our process that we do not charge for. And if you want that because you have an in-house team and you want us to train your team, you can choose the second option. If you would potentially want to have a new agency that does all this, then we could be your agency. Choose the first option, please. We'll reach out probably same day for anyone who says maybe and give you as much information or answer any questions that you have. We'll wait till at least the majority has answered, because you can just say no, not a problem. But there's a few different options out here, so we'll close this out in 3, 2, 1. Thank you, folks. Greatly appreciate it, and we'll be in touch. Let's get to any questions that have not already been answered. And Shanice, you got a big shout out from Denise. That really great info, and Shanice is amazing.
Oh, thank I messaged her privately. I said, thank you. I've been I was looking through the questions and responding to some, but one from Hannah was that when Google does do the update, what can we expect to happen to the current ads that we're running that are relying on third-party cookies? Can we anticipate CPC, that CPCs and CPA will go up? Will current ads be unable to serve? So first, Hannah, this update is about a year away. You will not be able to even have your campaigns on anything that targets third-party cookies. By that time, we will make sure of it. So we will get ahead of the curve there. But no, your CPAs and your CPCs will not go up because of conversion modeling. It's going to use those predictive behaviors to kind of look at what inputs are you, do you already have? Do you have your global site tag? Do you have your Google Analytics already ready? Are you opted into GA4? If you have all of those things, then the conversion modeling is set up to do its work. If you have decided not to put any of that in place, then yeah, everything's going to shut down. It's going to go black. So make sure that you focus on getting the global site tags ready to go. Do that now. If you can start, that roadmap this week, get that done. If you can figure out your migration over to GA4, please do that. Have that in effect. And if you already have an agency, or if you're looking to work with exclusive, we work with them in lockstep to make sure that you have all of the tag implementation support that you need.
We are aggressively getting ahead of this for all of our clients too. So if you are an exclusive client or you plan to switch to us, you shouldn't, you can be in the not at all concerned category, because we'll take care of it all.
Yeah.
Any other ones, Logan, or Shanice, that you guys have not already answered? That
Let's see, what's the difference between modeled conversions and actual conversions? Really good question. So model conversions is pulling in a lot of the information from the remarketing KPI. It's called Flock, or it's called Fledge, as well as the interest-based API that's called Flock, and it's all a part of that privacy sandbox that I mentioned earlier. It's going to inform, hey, if we would have had third-party tracking, and if we would have been able to model, have these third-party conversions in our database, what would that have looked like? And they're able to kind of model out what that would have looked like if third-party tracking was still here. Versus your actual conversions are the things that directly from that Google site tag, we're able to know exactly who converted. So everything is anyone who's kind of in that privacy sandbox realm, those are modeled. Anyone that we have their first party data, we know exactly what their behavior was, those are the actual ones.
That might be it.
Katie, already
tried
have a
to
call scheduled.
We tried to answer a lot of them as we went through. There was one question from Annie, which is really specific, and she has left, so we'll reach out to her after. I think it wouldn't apply to most people here. So
Okay, and yeah, I see Sue had one just really quickly. I can answer this. The second party data for customers is there second party data for customers you interact with or who interact with your brand online? So yes, second party data exists. However, it's expensive, it's costly, and you have to go through for example, second party data would be you are a retailer, you have your products sold in Walgreens, and you want that Walgreens data from them to inform your decision. So you got to pay Walgreens for that information, and Walgreens has to make sure that their customers are okay with them selling their information to you.
and we intentionally did not bring up second party data
Yeah.
because it would be 1 more hour of this presentation. Folks, I really hope you enjoyed this. I thoroughly enjoyed it and loved working with the team on this. Shanice, thank you so much for all your help on this, as well as you, Logan. I hope you guys feel like we got the story out there, so that just so you guys know, we're thinking about you guys as the audience, and we're doing this for you so that you feel more comfortable and prepared, and hopefully we were able to accomplish that. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.